Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Zazubaar, and here with an all-new movie review. Today, I'm going to be talking about a little movie that you might have heard of. It's called The Avengers. It's a little indie flick that I had to go to a midnight viewing of because it's in so little theaters and can't afford to be shown in enough theaters that I had to go to a midnight showing in a small theater. No, I'm kidding. I'm seeing Marvel's Avengers, one of the biggest movies of the year. What the hell am I talking about? The Avengers is an anomaly in motion pictures. The Avengers has been hyped up and advertised since 2008, when the original Iron Man film was released. And brief, scant hints of an Avengers movie were set up in that film, sprinkled throughout the film itself, and then after the credits. Of course, the Avengers was further set up in a film released the same year, The Incredible Hulk, both of which films I thought were great. The Hulk set up Avengers a little bit more, while Iron Man was a little bit more focused on telling an Iron Man-centered story. But there was Avengers hints in there, but they were a little bit more obvious in the Hulk. And then, of course, the next year we had, 2 years later we had Iron Man 2, which was much more obvious in setting up the Avengers. We got references to almost every single Avenger. I think the only one we didn't get a reference to was Hawkeye. Otherwise, I think every other Avenger was referenced in that movie, which some said was a criticism of it, but I don't really agree, but whatever. And then, of course, the next year we had the two films that were the final two films to set up the Avengers. We had Thor, and we had Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, I think it's cool that Captain America was released second and had that title, even though the subheading doesn't make much sense given the context of the film, since Project Avenger hadn't been thought up yet. But whatever. I get the idea of it. But anyway, so now of course we come to the big encore finale. And it's funny that I'm calling it that because it's not. This is the start of a whole new franchise and a whole new host of sequels that are going to get made. We're getting Iron Man 3, Thor 2. From what I've been hearing, I think we're getting a Hulk 2. And then, of course, I think all the Avengers are either getting solo films or they're getting sequels. To my knowledge, I might be wrong on that. I don't know what they're going to do with Captain America 2. That'll be interesting. Anyway, so now we're on to the Avengers. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to try and keep it under one part. Initially, I was going to do this video with Nicola, or I was going to bring on some of my internet friends to talk about this movie. But I might do that at a later date. And I want to start with this review to give my initial gut reactions to seeing the movie. It's been a few days since I did see it, I'll admit. But it's still really fresh in my mind, and it's been leaving a big impact on me these past few days. The Avengers was a strange experience, but strange in a fantastically unexpected good way. I was both extremely excited and terrified by this movie at the same time. Excited in that, oh my god, we're seeing Thor, Captain America, the Hulk, Iron Man, all on screen at one time. But then I was also terrified for the exact same reason. We're going to see Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America all on screen at the same time. How is this going to possibly work in live action in 2 hours? Generally, when you get superhero teams done on film, they're either getting a TV show or they're getting an animated movie where it's more easy to make sequels. We had that with Ultimate Avengers. And then, just to throw out another example, we had the Justice League animated series. With the Avengers, though, I was scared of that because I was worried that the writing team and the actors were going to have a hard time giving each character his or her fair due. Because these are all very big personalities with pretty big-name actors behind those personalities, making them even bigger. Oh my god, Tony Stark alone can control multiple films. And putting him in with Chris Evans, Captain America, and Chris Hemsworth, Thor, you've got a terrifying prospect of overshadowing some other characters. Thankfully, though, the Avengers completely unexpectedly did this brilliantly. They got on Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon is known for writing fantastic ensemble casts of powerhouse actors, with shows like Buffy, Angel, Firefly, and the film Serenity. All shows that had pretty large cast of very, very, I don't want to say egocentric, but very personified actors, people with a very specific personality. And the Avengers, for me, is one of the most individualized superhero teams in terms of its members. They're all people who, to put it like some other reviewers and some other people on the film, it's about putting people who don't make sense together on a team and forcing them to work together to combat a common threat. And that's very much so what this movie was about, and it's fantastic that they addressed it that way. By the way, I think I should say now, since I'm getting more into the actual film itself, that I'm going to try not to spoil it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to give a bare-bones summary of the plot, which I guess I'll do now. The plot is very much so a sequel to all the other Marvel films. And it's fantastic the way it is. I'll describe it and why it's a good idea. Excuse me. I'm a little sick if you can't notice. The Tesseract. Okay? The cube glowing object that we saw at the end of Thor and was the main threat in the Captain America movie, is being tested by S.H.I.E.L.D. for its energy capacity to create new, reliable, free energy. You know, that kind of stuff. Or potentially to be used for other means, but I will not get into those other means. And Loki, the god of mischief, making a pact with another creature from another dimension. I don't think it's Asgard. I think it's somewhere else. Will be given an army that will allow him to conquer the Earth and capture the Tesseract. And with the Tesseract and this army, they'll be able to basically control the universe. You know, that kind of basic take over the world stuff. But and of course, the Avengers are brought together to stop this threat. Now, it sounds really simple, and I'm just describing it that way to not give any spoilers. But the simple plot is a great idea, and here's why. I know that some people out there are going to be saying, "Oh, it's such a simple Saturday morning cartoon plot. It's just it's basically just a live-action cartoon." Not at all. Here's the thing. The reason why Avengers works so beautifully is because with that simple plot, you have lots and lots of time and ability to expand and characterize your characters, of course. Now, that's especially important with an ensemble cast to have a simple story, so that way you have time to give these people characterizations. And especially with the Avengers, since, again, as I said, this is like the most individualized, personified superhero team I've ever seen. I mean, just the scenes with, what makes this movie great is not what the trailer says it is. The trailers basically advertise this as Transformers 3 with superheroes in it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for a trailer, but if you're going into this thinking that every 6 seconds is going to be some kind of, dumb frat boy joke or robots beating the shit out of each other, you're going to be disappointed. The thing about Avengers is that it takes a lot of time to build up its characters and its plot and just the universe in order to build up to that huge action scene that we got in the trailer. Which, by the way, it didn't even scratch the surface. I mean, that trailer didn't even, wow. I'm not even going to talk about it, just because you need to see that action scene on the big screen. You have to. There's no bullshitting around it. You have to see that last fight scene on the big screen. There's just too many characters. The surround sound is so intense. And just everything, it's an experience. You've got to see it in theaters. And that's one of the main points I'm going to come down on, is this is a movie you have to see in theaters. And if you see it in theaters first, maybe even a couple times, I'm going to go again sometime this week, then is that you'll build up an appreciation for it, and you'll have that experience, so when you sit down and watch it on DVD, you'll have that experience, and you can appreciate that now it's a little bit of a smaller scale. I had a problem with Green Lantern recently, where I watched it on DVD. Now, that's not a great movie by any means, but I think I almost would have liked it more if I would have saw it in theaters, because just when you watch it on the small screen, it gets scaled down, and it has less of an impact. But with movie theaters, it's got that impact. And the Avengers has that impact. This movie is an experience. And, ultimately, I think it comes down to two main factors, the action and the characterization, as I was talking about earlier. The plot, in all honesty, is just there to get things going. The Tesseract was a very easy way to get these people together, since most of them have encountered it before. The only reason Iron Man was brought in is because he's Iron Man. So, why not? And also because he was one of the first that Fury approached to become an Avenger, so he was there anyway, but... not that he's not important, because he is. We'll find out later, but... In the beginning of in the basic bare bones premise, Iron Man does not seem that crucial to the Tesseract story. He is crucial in the film, but he's not a staple of that plot until later in the film. So I'm not going to give that away, but he's important. I love the way they incorporate the Hulk. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but let's just say that the Tesseract does involve gamma radiation. That's a great way to include the Hulk. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner was fantastic. I'm actually going to do a separate video all about Mark Ruffalo as Banner, so I'm not going to talk about him here, but I'm just going to say that he was fantastic as Bruce Banner. And the way this movie's written is just so beautiful. And it's a perfect mix of drama and comedy, which is the tone that first Iron Man film first established. And then ever since then, it's been the model for how these Marvel Studios movies work and how these Avengers movies work. And the Avengers is very much so in the same vein as the Iron Man films in its tone, which is a great thing. It feels like it's in the same universe. It just feels bigger. It's hard to put how much I love this movie into words, because it was just so fantastic. And there are people out there who are going to criticize this film because they don't like superhero films, and they're going to call it just dumb popcorn entertainment, but I have to say no to those people only because I've already heard tons of comparisons to Michael Bay and Transformers and Battleship and all that stuff. Here's the thing about Avengers, though. It has those actions and epic spectacles in it, but it's so smartly written that it deserves to have those things in it. It works up to us caring about these people, caring about these characters, caring about this scenario, that it deserves to have that epic action scene. It's not just that epic action scene, and that's the movie. This is a very dense movie. Dense with characterization, plot, and action. And that's great. Those are the three main things that make for good cinema. Or good entertaining cinema, anyway. And really the main thing that impressed me... Now, I'm going to criticize the film at one point. At the beginning of the film, I was initially worried, I'm going to admit. The first, 15 minutes of this movie isn't boring, it's strangely paced. And it's not that it's slow. I almost think that... I don't want to call it too fast. It's strangely... It doesn't really work that well. When we first see the first Avenger pop up on screen, and I don't mean Captain America, I just mean the first character who's going to be an Avenger show up in the movie, the film picks up speed, pace, and just all around it picks up my interest. Again, it's not that those first 15 minutes is slow, it's not impressive, it's stuff we've seen before, and it's just not very investing. Once the Avengers start popping up, then the film, you're immediately sucked in. I don't really know what to say about this film. The only other thing I want to talk about when I'm talking about how well written it is the dialogue. The dialogue is incredible in this movie. These characters are totally... They let their dialogue and their acting just totally characterize them. It's beautiful. Everyone here gets a very strong characterization. Everyone here gets a moment to shine. The writing of Loki is great. He's a very intimidating, challenging villain, and that's what Loki should be. Loki is the god of mischief. And he needs to use his words to solve his problems. He can't just call down lightning like Thor can. He's got to use his words. And that makes him scary, because some of the things he says to the Avengers, my god, it's just really, really powerful stuff. And again, this film earns its action. Loki has done enough bad things. He's been enough self-absorbed. He's been enough just evil and threatening throughout the entire movie, but still coming off as likable because he's so well written that he deserves to have that epic fight with the Avengers in the end. I don't really know what else to say about this film. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. Just overall, you must see this film. If you like superheroes and you like entertainment, this is one of the most entertaining films I have ever seen. I can't wait to see it again. It is everything I wanted from it and more. It's just a fun ride from about 15 minutes to stop. The thing about that first 15 minutes is that it's so strangely paced that it's kind of off-putting. But again, once the Avengers start popping in, it grabs your interest right away, and you can pretty much forget about those first 15 minutes except for how it sets up the plot. Stay after the credits. Be sure to stay after the credits. Both credits. The initial credits where you get a first post-credit scene, then the further credits, and then you get another one. They're both awesome. Stick there. Oh my god, this film just coalesced into one beautiful piece. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It was just... I have no main complaints that detracted from the film. It did everything I think it needed to in order to be a good Avengers movie, and then more. I highly recommend that you see it now. No, I'm kidding, but you need to see this movie if you like superheroes and you like entertainment and you don't mind things being outlandish. So the thing about this movie is that it takes its outlandish plot and circumstances and doesn't make fun of it. It treats it serious, but it's not like... It doesn't have a serious tone to it, but the characters in that universe take it seriously. And the comedy... Oh my god, this film is hilarious. I'm not going to give away any of the jokes, but this is funnier than any comedy I've currently seen out there. It's just amazing. Again, just the comedy and the action and the acting and the characterization is all so well balanced that it's hard to critique this film. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5, as I said. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Can't wait for the sequel. Thank you very much for listening. Zazubaar out.